Hello, welcome back. In this session, we're going to talk about setting up the web server on your local machine. I have a scenario that I have listed here, and I would like to go through this scenario. And once we go through this scenario, we will understand almost all the things that are necessary for the understanding of the web server. So let me read this thing, and we'll go one step at a time. You need to deploy an HTTP server. Configure this server in such a way that it can render HTML pages from the document root directory. So we need to understand what this document root directory is, and we'll do that in a second. Then once the server is set up and configured, this scenario is talking about download an already developed HTML page from an FTP server named as myftpserver.com. So this is a totally different thing. It has nothing to do with the HTTP server or the web server. It is asking you that already developed web page has to be downloaded from some other place, and the name of this HTML page that you are going to download is abc.html. And then once you download it to your web server, configure your web server so that this page will be displayed when a user hits your website. So if the name of my website is abc.com, when I type abc.com in my URL in the web browser, I should be able to see this abc.html page. So we'll see how that is done. The default page has to come abc.html. And you may rename this HTML page. You may rename this abc.html page if it is necessary. So this is the whole scenario. We need to set up the web server. And then the last step, it is telling you that open the appropriate ports on your firewall for this website so it is accessible from other machines, the machines outside your own machine. So we'll go through this thing one step at a time, and I have listed all these important commands which are related to our setup. Yum is the command which we already know. Then service starting and stopping is another command there. I think I have forgotten the stop command, stop option here. Then configuring the service to check whether it is automatically started or the reboot or not, or and then started if it is not automatically started. Then there are some files which are related to HTTP server, and then there are certain directives. So we'll go through all these things here. So let me start from a different window. Now the first step here is to obviously, step number one is to install the web server. So install a web server, and then the step number two is to configure it, and step number three is to test it. So these are the three steps that we are going to do. Now installing any server is obviously done using either RPM or Yum, and I would suggest that you use your Yum configuration or Yum client configuration. I'm assuming that you have configured your Yum client, and because you have configured your Yum client, you will be able to install it. So how would you install it? The name of the software is httpd. So here is how you will do it: yum install httpd, and it will do the installation. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to first find out whether it is already installed or not. So RPM minus QA, this is going to show me list of all the, A is for all the RPMs that are installed on my machine right now. Q is to query, A is to query all, and these are all the RPMs that are installed on my machine right now. I am interested only in the HTTPD, and if the HTTPD software is installed, then it will show me there are three software that contain the word HTTPD, and this is the one which is already there. So HTTPD version 2.2.15 is the one that has been installed on my machine. So I really don't need to install it again, but I just wanted to kind of show you that if it is not installed, then install it using this command: yum install httpd, and the package will be installed. And then check that it has been installed using this rpm-qa command. So let us not go through the installation because it has already been installed. So our step number 1 is done. Install a web server. Now we need to configure it. All the server configurations are done using server configuration files. So we need to know where the server configuration files are. Now for the HTTP, the main directory is this. All the server configuration or all the web server related files, directories, logs, everything is under this directory. So this is what we call as a server root directory. Server root directory, and that is what I have listed over here. A server root is a directory where all the files related to the web server, the HTTPD server in this case, are stored. So our server root is this. You need to memorize this thing, and underneath that you have all the other directories or subdirectories. Now our configuration file, which is the most important file, is under a directory called as conf. So I'm inside this directory now, and the configuration file is listed here. The name of the configuration file is httpd.conf. Now this is a very huge file. I'm gonna put the line numbers here so that we can get an idea of how big the file is. If you are going to be a web server administrator, you need to know each and every line of this file. There are close to 1009 lines in this file, and whatever we see here is called as a directive. A directive is basically, for example, proxy via is a directive. It is turned on. Then there are certain other directives that we are going to look into, and we have to understand their meanings. Now if you don't understand the meaning, that is fine. The defaults will be automatically set and work would be done. So our job now is not to go through this file, but still I would like you to kind of understand a couple of directives. So these are the around 5 directives that I have pulled out from that file. Server root, as you already know, httpd.conf. I will search for server root. Okay, here. Now everything that starts with a hash is a comment, and now this is a server root directory. It tells you that all the files and directories related to my web server, my HTTPD server, are in this directory. So this is what the server root is. If you change this thing, you have to again change everything else. So this is, I'm not going to change. So this is the first directive that we need to understand. Then there is another directive called as server admin. So let us see what that is. Server admin. Server admin is a directive. And you can see, you can read this thing and understand what the directive is. So server admin is your address, your email address, where the problems with the server should be emailed. This address appears on some server generated web pages, such as error documents and all that stuff. So if you are the server administrator for this web server, then your email address should be typed over here, and this is where you will get emails if there are any problems with the server. So this is all the configuration with the help of directives. So that is the server admin. Then the most important directive is this document root. And as you can see here, document root is set to a directory called as var www.html. If you read the description, it says document root, the directory out of which you will serve your documents. Documents are HTML pages or your PHP pages and programs. By default, all requests are taken from this directory, but the symbolic links and aliases can also be used. So let us not worry about that. This is the directory where your web pages are kept. So if you see the second part of this configuration here, it says let me resize this thing. Configure your web server so that this web page, the web page is the abc.html that we're going to download, will be displayed when the user hits your website. So we are going to download this abc.html page, and we are going to keep it in this directory, which is my document root. That is what our main thing is. Okay, so that is the third directive that I would like you to understand. We are not changing any of these directives. The defaults will work properly. And then there is another important directive called as directory index. So anything under this var www.html, that is the directory, and each directory, if it contains a page called as index.html or index.html.var, that page will be automatically displayed. So my goal is now to copy that abc.html, put it into this directory and rename that to index.html. Once I rename that to index.html, then only it will be automatically displayed when I go to that website. So this directory index is an important directive, and I will show you where it is also. Direct index, and as you can see here, if I come down, directory index is these two pages, and you can change it. If you are going to have a PHP page, you can or PHP website, you can have this as a index.php. I'm going to keep it with index.html, and I'm going to save it here. So don't change any of these parameters. The defaults will work absolutely fine. And then it also says that if you have any errors, the error logs are going to be in the logs directory, and the logs directory is going to be under your server root, which is etc httpd. So this is where the error logs are. So these are certain directives that we need to understand, and we don't need to change any of those. The defaults will work fine. So now once we have installed the web server, we need to configure it, and I'm not going to change anything in the configuration file. I'm going to just accept my defaults. So I'm going to save and come out, and then once I have configured it, I need to start it. Service httpd status, let me check. Service VICE. Okay, it is already running. I guess I had already started it. Let me start from stopping it. So this server has been stopped now. If I check the status, it is not running. So you can start it, obviously. Start. Once it is started, you can reload it. Reloading will be actually doing only one thing, that it will reload the configuration file. So if you make any changes to the server directives, then you would like to reload it instead of stopping and starting it. So reload can be much faster. So our service is running, the HTTP service, and since it is running, let us go and check. Take a look at that. My IP address is 192.168.1.4. Yes, our web server is running now, and this is the default page of my web server, but this is not what I would like to display. I would like to display the abc.html. So now the next thing is, I'm going to go to the var www.html. This is the document root. This is where all the files are kept, the HTML files are kept. So now I'm going to go to my FTP server, which is my next step here. As you can see, download an already developed HTML page from myftpserver.com. So let me do my.server.com. It is an anonymous FTP. And password can be anything. And now I am there. Hopefully I have an HTML file there. Yes, there is a file called as abc.html. So I'm going to get that file, abc.html. And then finally, once it says the transfer is complete, so many bytes have been received from that. That is the size of the abc file. As you can see it from here, 262 bytes. 262 bytes were transferred. I'm going to quit now. I'm back to my document root, and my abc.html file is there. So now can I go to my web server, and if I refresh, I still see this Apache 2 test page. If I type abc.html, yes, I do see that page. You can go and take a look at the source code also, abc.html, and you will see that this is the source code of abc.html. And you can see it like this, but we don't want it to be like this. We would like to configure it in such a way that when I just hit my website, I should be able to see it. So I'm going to do that by renaming the file abc.html to index.html, and since it is renamed as index, now see, I don't need to type anything over here. All I need to do is type my web server. You can use your machine name also. My machine name is what? Hostname shaker.t.com, shaker.t.com, and it will show you the exact same thing. If I make any changes to this index.html, let me welcome is the only thing that I'm going to type here. And now let us see if I can see that change over here by refreshing. Control R is the refresh, and yes, I do see the welcome change. So my server, FTP server, is properly configured. And now the last thing that is still remaining is this opening up the port, and we know HTTP runs on port number 80. So I'm gonna go to my firewall configuration, and in my firewall configuration I'm going to see that my firewall is enabled. It is not disabled, because if I click on disable, only then it will get disabled. And the port for HTTP is port number 80, and it is listed here at the bottom. It is listed here at the bottom. So I'm going to just click on this, and I'm going to say apply. Apply will make sure that it will actually apply it. And then please remember to check if the service IP tables is enabled or not, and in my case I believe it is enabled, but I'm gonna check it anyway. Service okay, it is all those ports are open. As you can see, port 21 and now port 80 is open. That is the HTTP port. And now I'm also going to make sure that my web server is configured to start at the reboot. So chkconfig list httpd. Oh, it is not configured to start at the list. So all this configuration will be a waste if we do not change this thing. So I'm going to do that by typing httpd on. And now as you can see, at run level 2, 3, 4, 5, my HTTP server will automatically start when I reboot the machine next time. So this is all the configuration that we need to understand about the web service. So as you can see, let me do the summary of this. You install the software, you configure it by going to this file. You don't really need to do any configuration changes in this scenario. During the configuration, you may want to remember these directives, and once you have configured it, you can start it, and starting is done using the service command. And once it has been started, make sure that you start it automatically on the next reboot. Make sure you test it also by typing in your URL. So this is all we need to do about web server configuration.